persons to come along and join in the section. We will just take a brief welcome, right, which is going to be taken by, because of we've already spent a lot of time trying to figure things out and bring us here. So we're going to welcome Mr. Pio Verma Ogwidi. You're welcome. Can just give us a welcome address while we go into the depth of what we have for today. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much, Miss Faith. Good evening, everyone. And from those of us, those joining from diaspora, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, as we always say. Okay, so my job here is very simple. I'm here to give a welcome address as well as do an introduction of the team and the objectives of this campaign. I am Honorable Obidi Peace Ofre, and I am a member representing Eastern Central Constituency in the Edo State Youth Parliament. It's such a privilege and an honor to be the campaign director for this campaign. And of course, with the team empowering futures, the roles of stakeholders in addressing dropout prevention. The team emphasizes the collective responsibilities of all stakeholders: educators, parents, community leaders, corporate bodies, policymakers, and youth in tackling the alarming dropout rates and ensuring that every child have access to quality education. Emphasis on quality education. It highlights the need for collaboration, innovation, and sustainable strategies to secure bright futures for the youth. Our objectives are very clear, and part of which is to raise awareness. And by raising awareness, we are eliminating the challenges contributing to school dropouts and the long term. We are illuminating, shedding light on the challenges contributing to school dropouts and the long-term impact on individuals, communities, and the nation. We are also here to promote collaboration, foster meaningful partnership among stakeholders to create holistic and impactful solutions. Part of the objective also is to empower communities, equip families, educators, and local leaders with tools and resources to support at-risk children. Also, as part of our core objectives, we are advocating for policy change, highlighting the importance of robust policies and funding to improve educational access and retention. Yeah, also we are here to celebrate success stories, showcasing inspiring initiatives and success stories that have effectively reduced dropout rates, encouraging replication and scaling. Through this campaign, we aim to, of course, continue to inspire action, strengthen advocacy efforts, and empower every child to pursue their dreams without barrier of educational inequality. I'm glad to say that this session that we are having is the phase 1 of this campaign. And so far, we have been able to create awareness as much as possible. We did that through a press briefing which held on the 15th of October last month. And after that, it was closely followed by a 10 days advocacy challenge, which to continue to create awareness and advocate for quality education. To wrap up the first phase of this campaign, we are having the stakeholders engagement and the dialogue session, which is happening today and happening right about now. And we are currently having representatives from the various stakeholders to share insights, to share ideas, to share programs and initiatives on how we can drastically eradicate this menace called dropout in Nigeria. Just to add in perspective, on the 7th of this month, November, UNESCO made a report that in Africa, out of 10 African countries, Nigeria is topping the list of the country with the highest number of out of school. And it will interest you to know that we have almost 20 million students that are out of school in Nigeria. This is alarming. And this is the reason we are having this session, to discuss ideas, to share initiative on how we can eradicate this menace, dropout in Nigeria. I want to welcome each and every one of us to this session, and I hope that we'll have a meaningful conversation. I want to use this opportunity to appreciate and thank our speakers and our panelists. You know, these people are finally selected for this purpose, and I know beyond reasonable doubt that they're going to deliver on the course. Thank you so much. I will now hand over to Ms. Faith Sampson, our dear moderator, as she take us through this journey of this engagement. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
All right, thank you so much for that brilliant opening remark. We are much grateful for such an opportunity to be able to share very deeply from the core of how each of us who are stakeholders in the education and in the education system, how we can influence or impact the ecosystem as a whole. And to start off the conversation, we'll be having a couple of persons, as we have already seen on the flyer that we have for the section. I will want you, if you're here and all right, I can see some persons saying they are joining in, some are having issues here and there. If you're having issues with joining in, or you know people who have issues with joining in, so that this conversation can actually go on, we are a link has been provided on the community that can be shared. Okay, I can see more people joining in. We have a lot of persons that are going to be speaking today, as we have seen already on the flyer. And we have quite a number of persons. We have Mr. TJ Chuna, we have Pastor Sunday Waiko, and we have Honorable Dr. Azizat Yeshua. Sorry, Yeshua Wu. Sorry if I don't pronounce that well. We have Comrade Mavis, and to, of course, Mr. Andrew Oyaisi and Honorable Prosper Oguns Kelvin. I think I think I can see Honorable Kelvin Oguns already here, and we also have Mr. Itoya Linus, and of course, we also have Honorable Ogwidi Peace Ofure, who is the delectable host, and I am going to be moderating this section myself, Faith Sampson. All right, so without wasting much time, we would have to go to the very first section. I need a signal. Is Mr. TJ on ground now? Hello, is Mr. TJ on ground now? Okay, not yet. Okay. Thank you so much, Beck, for that. Okay, sorry. Let's just take a minute break. Sorry. We'll be back. All right. Hello, everyone. Are we still here? I think we are going to start just immediately. Mr. TJ is in the house already. And Mr. TJ is going to start in the section today. Mr. TJ Trina is a social entrepreneur, a life and leadership coach, and he happens to be somebody who is very passionate about parenting, about children, about schooling and education as a whole. And we think it's such a privilege, profound privilege, to have him give one or two and set the tone for the evening conversation on the National Dropout Prevention Campaign 2024 on empowering the future, the roles of each stakeholder in addressing dropout prevention with a clapping and standing if you can wherever you are. I just want to give an applaud as we welcome Mr. TJ Trona.
Okay, Faith, please let's give a little minute. I think we're having a discrepancy. Some persons are somewhere else while we are here, so we need to quickly rectify that, please. So,
All right, it's fine. All right, so good evening, everyone.
okay, so sorry for the hitch. we are there was a little discrepancy with the link, as I earlier said, but it has been rectified already. Yes, yes, yes. So it has been rectified already, and our speaker will join us right. It has been rectified. Sorry about the inconvenience, please. Sorry for the inconvenience.
All right, I think that this is rectified now. The other persons from the other call will join in just in a jiffy. You're welcome, Edwin Obidi. You're welcome, Peter. You're welcome, Akimbo Tomilala. Friday Ogbewi. You're welcome. You can see Gregory. I can see Mafidon Becky. Okay. Destiny, welcome. Mary Udo, you're welcome. Okay. There are still some persons on the other call. And please, if you're here on the other link, this is a wrong link. You will need to switch over. Can we hear me?
Okay, Faith, you're on the
Yeah.
right. You're on the right
We
link.
can hear you. We can hear you.
You're on the right link.
No, I'm speaking into both links together. I know
Oh,
you
okay,
can hear
that's
me,
fine.
but there are still
Okay.
about 4 to 5 people on the other link. I'm trying to rectify with them as well. Okay, so while they're trying to join in, I will just go over what we have now. Okay, welcome again, everyone. I'm super glad to have everyone finally here. It feels like it feels really cool to have everyone back here in one space and having this tightened conversation. We were just about starting before the amalgamation, but of course, we're here in unity to talk about how to prevent dropouts amongst young people. And to drive the conversation, I was introducing our awesome speaker, Mr. TJ Chuna, and I said he's an advocate for good parenting, education, and he's one of the best people to have this conversation tonight and drive the conversation about Dropout Prevention Campaign 2024 and empowering the futures, the roles of each stakeholders. And I know very well that we all know that every one of us are stakeholders. And for us to get to this point, to be able to stay on this call or have this conversation, we are people who are interested in one way or the other, either as religious leaders, or we are influencers, or we are politicians, or we are legislators, and all of that. It is a collective effort to avoid or prevent dropouts rate in Africa or in Nigeria precisely. And to start off this conversation, we'll be welcoming Mr. TJ. Mr. TJ, are you in the house? Please, with a clap ovation and a standing ovation, if you want to, please let's welcome Mr. TJ to ride on the conversation. You're welcome, sir. Oh, Christabel, you have something to say? You could drop a chat.
Okay, Mr. TJ, you were just introduced before you came in. We'll be glad to have you now, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Hello, everyone. Can you please confirm you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Awesome, great. I'm just um, I'm just getting in, and I was in the other room, and I was wondering what was happening, and I got to realize that that may just be one of the reasons why we have school dropouts. People get to classes and they enter the wrong classes, and they have no idea what's happening in those classes, and they tend to drop out. I don't know if everyone in that room has found their way here. I can see Friday here. I can see Edwin Obidi. Yes, they found their ways here. And Peter as well. Hope Mary Udo made it into this room as well. So good evening, everyone. And I'm excited to be here. My name is TJ Chunu. And I was just sharing a few thoughts around the theme empowering futures, the role of stakeholders in addressing dropout prevention. Please let me know from those of you hearing, listening to me. I would attempt to make this not just a speech. I wrote a speech, I could just read it, but I love to have a sense of interaction. So if you can hear me and you went to school, you have finished school, or you're going to school, you are in school and you intend to finish, please go to the chat and just type I am an empowered future. Please type that in the chat, and that will let me know that we're together here. I am the empowered future. Please write that in the chat. I'd like to see that, and I would go ahead sharing my thoughts. Yes, thank you, Peter. You're the most empowered future we have, and because of people like you, Peter, who's the rock, the future is sure. Thank you, Edwin. Do I have only just two persons whose futures who are the ones actually empowering the future? Just two here. I need to say more. Thank you, Mary Udo. Yes, I was waiting to see that name because I saw you exit the other group. Thank you, Mafidon Becky FA. Thank you, Audu. Thank you. You are the empowered future. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed educators, if we have any here, policymakers, parents, if we have parents here, and I hope we do, and community leaders. I want to especially thank the host, Honorable Obidi, for hosting this, and the State Youth Parliament for putting this. It's a very noble thought, a conversation to have. I'm very honored to be addressing you on this most crucial conversation that we'll be having today. I'd like to begin with a question. Just imagine, what will our communities look like if every young person have access to quality education and, they are supported to finish? You may just want to go share your thoughts on the question. It's a rhetorical one, though, but please share your thoughts as I continue with the conversation. What will our communities look like if everyone, the Agberos, the lion and tigers, the whatever adjective you want to use to qualify them, just imagine if everyone had access to quality education and they were supported to finish. You could just write that thing you're thinking on the chart. For many of us, education, has been a guiding force in our lives. And I would say that personally, it has shaped our characters, it has shaped our choice of career, it has contributed immensely to the society. It can never be overemphasized, the importance of education. But too many young Nigerians have their journey cut short, and it has impacted both their individual future and the future of our country. So I was hoping by now I would have read somebody's response to that question. What would our community look like if every young person had access to quality education and was supported to finish? Part of the challenge is you may not have really thought through. It's easy to say village people. If your village people were educated, I hope you know there will be no village people for you to hang on as the cause of your nemesis. But let's define the challenge here, and let's look at some statistics. Globally, about 258 million children. That's a huge number. Just imagine Nigeria, the whole of Nigeria. We are over 220 million. We do not have accurate figures, but The most populous nation, just imagine the mass of black people. That statistics, according to UNESCO, says that figure, 258 million, are out of school. And you know the shocking thing in that statistics? 20% of that statistics are in Nigeria. The issue of school dropout rates is both significant and urgent, especially in our country, Nigeria. According to data, from UNICEF education program, over 10.5 billion children are currently out of school in Nigeria. It's the highest number of out of school children in the world, and that is a cause of concern. The rate is it's more among secondary school students. There are many as 20% of enrolled students who fail to complete their studies, often due to, now listen to this is due to a combination of various factors, and I'm going to mention a few. And if there's none I have mentioned, you can feel free to drop your thoughts in the chat. 1, poverty. Yes, and I know this may also top your chat. Poverty, the lack of financial resources to support education. And then you can also say socioeconomic disparities, the fact that what is created for one is not created for all. And there's that gap. Because of that label, that gap separates us. Number 2, another factors. Now, it could be one or more of these factors, not just any one in particular. 2 is insecurity. Unsafe learning environments due to conflicts. I grew up in Warri, and I remember when there used to be serious fights between the Shekiri and the Ijos and all that. And schools were shut down. Who wants to go to school? Look at Boko Haram conflicts in the north. Who wants to go to school when over 200 students were kidnapped? Who would want to go to school? They abandon education because of that. 3, there's economic barrier. So a family who cannot afford to pay maybe 100K for the child's school fees in a year would make them, withdraw him from school and probably tell him to go start hawking something along the way. Another challenge, number 4, early marriage. You know what happens, especially in the northern part of our country. Young girls are married at a young age, so they prioritize family responsibilities over education. That's another reason why we have the increasing growing number of school dropouts. 5, the social cultural norms. There's a culture that believe and practice, their beliefs and practice are somewhat anti educational progress. You have some of them, especially in the northern communities, where girls are expected to prioritize domestic duties over education, lead to high dropout. So the feel there's also you want to put this around the narrative that the woman was made for the kitchen. So why should they be in school? 6, we have the lack of inclusive policies. There are a lot of education policies that are failing because they do not create room for inclusion for those who are living with disabilities, for those who have language barriers. Now, imagine going to some of your schools and ask yourself, what is the infrastructure that is there to accommodate people living with disabilities? And I throw this question to everyone listening to me. How many of you will say, I have a friend, a good friend who is living with disabilities? It shows how even our educational policies has created this gap between us, that we do not see ourselves as humans who should live and thrive together, but we have segregated ourselves into class, thereby making those who feel less, who naturally wasn't their fault, drop out from school. We have the issue of poor funding, insufficient allocation of resources for the educational sector. They are really underfunded. Go and check most of the schools in the rural areas. Infrastructure is good as not existent. It leads to poor academic performance and as well increase of the dropout rates. And the 8th thing I noted here is corruption. It's management of funds, and this is not a beast. It's a big elephant in the room, if I should use that word, where monies that are set for a particular thing are embezzled. Money for education, you hear, it's only in Nigeria where we believe miracles don't happen that we can believe that snake will swallow billions, and then we are all amazed. But if I come and I heal the sick, probably everybody will tell me it's fake powers. So corruption, it's a miracle worker in this country. Number 9, we have poor implementation of the Child Right Acts. We have failure to enforce laws that protects the child's right to education. So local authorities now fail to prosecute parents who will. I know in Edo State that came very that the government tried to drive that in Edo State, where if they catch a child, because education became free, if they catch a child hawking or working when it ought to be in school, the parents will be arrested. But if these laws, these policies were binding, then parents will sit up to ensure that their children or their wards go to school. We have the high fertility rates, and I know we have a lot of very high performing adults, in this room or in Nigeria. They can drop the bomb. And now imagine you now have a family of 10 when you know the price of yam. So the first thing is to eat to survive. And then you hear things like who's school help? So because there's high fertility rates, all the children cannot go to school. You now bring back issues like the economic barriers and all that here as well. And we have also environmental factors where natural disasters, climate change, or poor infrastructure. There was the school in Jos, the souls of those children, rest in peace, that collapsed. There's the flood that took almost half of Bielsa underground, and or rather under the flood, and all those natural disasters, coastal communities being flooded, and schools being destroyed. It displaces students, and this can also disrupt education. And at the end of the day, you can still have the numbers increasing. There's a lack of engagement and relevance in curriculum. This is one of the thoughts I wrote down that was most striking to me, because most times our content fail to resonate with our students' interest. It's many of us, one of the reasons a lot of people say school is scam is not because school actually is scam, but because the school does not address the needs, the reality. I think my video should have been on. Nobody told me that. Let me just turn it on. Hope that will help. Yeah. So you find out that our education is not addressing the reality of the student. So it now becomes a thing of theories. These things that we are saying are not practical. They're not practical. It's just so that we pass the book. So you find out that people now go and draw all the things like we complain. You draw cockroach, you draw the lap of mosquito and all that, and at the end of the day, it does not equate something that you can do. So teacher career, it lacks relevance to the social issues that we are challenging, and these things we cannot incorporate them into modern day technology and tools. So the lack of engagement and relevance curriculum is another reason. When we see the Igbo apprentice who has been able to sit with Oga, his master, and learned and open shop, and now has 3 shops. Why go to school? School not scam. So this is another reason why there's dropout. And there are other reasons that could be such as inadequate support systems, which is critical. And here we can talk about parenting as well as others. There's the issues of mental health. There's the issue of family and community dynamics and all that. So this loss is potentially more to the individual setback and then significantly to the communities. Research suggests that individuals who do not complete secondary education are at 25% higher risk of unemployment. That's what research shows. Are more likely to face lifelong poverty. With education playing such a critical role, each young person who drops out, their dreams are deferred, potential unrealized, and opportunities lost. Our theme, Empowering Future, calls us to recognize that reducing dropout rates is only part of the solution. Ensuring long-term success means that we are building a network of support around each student. And I talked about that's one thing that's lacking. So this brings us to the heart of our conversation today: the role of stakeholders. The role of stakeholders in creating the support that each that's unique to play a part for helping fight against as prevention strategy for against dropouts. So let me highlight a few here. Some key stakeholders, I think I'll mention about 6 of them. Here, I'll start with parents. Why parents interest me is because I'm a parenting coach, and I strongly believe that parents are the first teachers. They're the ones who instill values. They're the ones who help excite the ambitions of the children. Children with engaged parents are more or likely 30% more likely to excel academically. And according to the Bureau of Statistics in Nigeria, you find out that children who have parent support actually do better. Schools can also support. So what can parents do? Parents can, one, encourage children's attendance of school and participation in academic activities. 2, parents can monitor progress and communicate with the teachers, and this is very key. I would say that because parents even lack the understanding of this, they do not know the power of the Parent-Teacher Association. And it has turned to, so many other things, as we can see all around. 3, parents also provide the emotional support and resources for the children. Second category of stakeholders are community and ethnic leaders. The community and ethnic leaders, they influence, because the truth is, the community sets a template that once the child steps out of the home, he embraces as a reality. So communities are strong influencers in shaping the realities of the children. So leaders can drive positive change by advocating for school attendance. So imagine that the community starts saying that education is important. So there was a 2022 report, UNESCO report, that highlighted that community-driven programs improve school attendance. So you can imagine that community-driven programs increase attendance of school by 15% in rural areas. So through such advocacies, leaders can be strong allies to prevent dropouts. So what I've said there is that 1, communities can provide resources and supports. 2, that they can promote education as community value. And 3, they can engage with schools and families as well. Number 3, stakeholders here will now focus on the corporate bodies and NGOs. The private sector actually are the most powerful, the most resourceful, and they can make difference. They can do that by providing scholarship and mentorship programs that will help at-risk students to engage and get supported. They can support education with these financial initiatives. They can provide job and training placements as well. So an example here is the World Bank, the statistical data from World Bank that shows that every investment in education has a return of 5% in economic growth. So you can see it's directly proportional to every investment is directly proportional to economic growth. Number 4, which many of us should think should be number 1, is the government. Why I put the government as number 4, it's because the government at the end of the day is a product of the society, and the society which has its leadership is a product of families, and that's why parents top the charts. So we cannot have government if we do not have families that are functional. Families who came together from the community who now created the government. So the government has a fundamental role in providing accessibility to education, quality education, and much more. This means that there's sufficient funding. They are able to gather funds for the people and ensure that, corporately, we want to ensure that we fund an education by even training educators and ensuring that schools are equipped to meet students' needs. So they develop and implement effective policies, they allocate resources for dropout prevention, and they monitor the progress and evaluation of these programs. Number 5 here is you and I, the youth, those of you who are students. Yeah, you owe yourself, you're a critical stakeholder, so you owe yourself this responsibility, because students who take responsibility of their learning and support their peers in doing so, and you agree with me, for those of you in school or those of you who just went finished from school, that learning was more interesting when you were reading with your classmates or your friends. You know, the way you learn, the way you share knowledge sometimes is much interesting than what you do when you are in school. So encouraging youth mentorship program is important. So what can the youth do here? One, the youth can take ownership of education. They can seek help when needed rather than expect help to jump to them. No one is going to come. No one is going to come. Yes, no one is going to come to save you if you do not cry for help. And the third thing you can do is that you can now set goals and persevere, not set goals and complain. Set goals and persevere. Oh, sorry, the power just went out in the room where I am. And the final group of people I will refer here as key stakeholders and what they could do is now the school administration system, the lecturers, the teachers, and all that. They are actually in the front line because that is their primary task. To educate students. So they see the daily struggles of the students even more than the parents when it comes to academic learning, and they can make significant impacts by offering guidance and encouragement. So schools that implement early warning systems to identify at-risk students support about 20% of they support to reduce rather about 20% of the dropout rates. So educators can also use mentorship programs and resilient building strategies to engage students, you know, to ensure that there's long-term success. So they can create engaging relevant lessons plans. They can foster positive relationship with students, and they can identify early warning signs of dropouts. If you are still here, please go to the chat and type, "I am the empowered future." For those of you still here, still keep typing, "I'm the empowered future." I want to ensure that we are here together. So let's look at, I'm just wrapping up, and these are my final thoughts. Thank you, God's power, you're the empowered future. Thank you. It shows we are together. So in wrapping my thoughts here, what's the call to action here? One, I'd said that we can establish a stakeholders network where we ensure, I just listed stakeholders. Is there an existing network where these stakeholders are having conversations, just as we are doing right now, that makes them see, design new strategies, collaborate to ensure that we minimize dropouts in school? We can develop localized dropout prevention plans, and this is where we need community leaders. What can we do for each unique location where we're experiencing this? Now, in one of the things when I was talking about why we had dropout, one of the things I didn't mention was peer pressure, and that is something that we can discuss, how following the wrong association and all that have led a lot of young people to drop out because they are now into drugs, smoking, and what have you. Okay, so developing localized dropout prevention plan is one key strategy. Thank you, Gabriel, for saying I'm the empowered future. Number 3 is we need to now allocate resources. We need to allocate resources and then provide these supports. We cannot think this thing will happen by itself. We cannot also wait for funding from places that may never be to see this happen. And then finally, we need to intentionally monitor progress and evaluate for the effectiveness of these strategies. I would say in engaging parents and partners that one particular focus of today's address, of the things I'm saying, is the role of parents as strategic partners. I will keep hitting on parents. It's sad that sometimes parents don't even know what their children are doing in school, what the children want to do in school, and what the children have done in school. As far as they have paid school fees, they thought that they have met the obligation of being a parent, and that's far from it. So engaging parents in meaningful ways can significantly reduce dropouts. We need to have more campaigns reaching parents because, like I said, they are the bane of the society. So school can initiate regular meetings and create a parent advisory board rather than just PTA. Unfortunately, most of the PTAs we see school wanting to impose their policies and drive whatever they want to say to parents, and then locking WhatsApp groups and all that, and then you see parents revolting, and it's just a madman world out there in the educational space. But if we have parents being rightly educated and rightly involved, that become part of advisory board, and they share resources, because some parents are more resourceful than you can think. Some of them may lack parenting skill, but can create resources that will enable the schools, help them achieve their goal, and then even put them on the path of training them to become better parents. So many parents face a lot of challenges, such as limited time, and we know that, or resources, but the schools can provide flexible engagement options. Who says that school is designed to just run from 8 to 2, or from whatever time schools do run these days, from run to 3? Who says schools are designed to just run like that, focusing on the 6 subjects they do on a day with a target of writing an exam and scoring a child? Not scoring a child's ability to learn, but scoring a child's ability to just represent the ideas that has imputed in his mind, without considering if the child really learned. So in conclusion, I would say that all stakeholders here today, let us recognize that preventing school dropout is a shared responsibility. It's not mine, it's not yours, it is ours. Each of us have an important role to play, and that every young Nigerian has the opportunity to fulfill their potentials. So I urge parents here, community leaders who are here, all who have been here, to join us on this course. And by empowering our youth, we empower our nation. As a final thought, I want us to remember that the future belongs to those who we support. The future doesn't really belong to us anymore. We are now living our future. The future belongs to those who we support. So let's work together to build an environment where education is accessible and supported and valued for all. With these few words, I just want to say thank you once again for giving me the time to speak. If they have questions, I will be here and I oblige myself to respond to that. Thank you so much, and thank you. Our host, Honorable Obidi, over to you.
Oh, wow. Okay, thank you so much, sir. Sorry, I needed to quickly rectify, get something on. Moderator had to quickly jump out. She'll be joining us soon. So pending when she comes in, I will stand in for her. Thank you so much for that powerful section. It was awesome. Just before I make any comments, please, if you have any question for our speaker, you want to drop it on the chat box, and then one of the team members would notify us, and then we'll take your question very quickly. Thank you so much to Mr. TJ for that beautiful session. It was really an amazing one. What an exposition indeed. That was an exposition of the topic, empowering features, the role of stakeholders in addressing dropout prevention. Such a great one. Thank you so much, sir. And the future truly belongs to those we support. That's very super. That's very super. I can see somebody reiterating that in the comments. The future belongs to those who we support. And truly, until the right form of support begins to come in from the various stakeholders, right, that's when we can have the future. That's when the future can be guaranteed. Thank you so much for that powerful session, sir. God bless you. Okay, very quickly, we would like to transition into the next session because of time. So we'll be coming up again for a panel session, but for now, let's quickly transition to the next session. We'll be having the next speaker. That's the person of Pastor Sunday Waiko. You can see the comment is blowing already. The comment is blowing already. Thank you so much for that powerful session. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, we'll be having Pastor Sunday Waiko, who will be speaking with us very in another dimension, and we'll be looking at the roles of religious leaders, in addressing dropout prevention. I'll quickly do a quick read for Pastor Sunday as we have him come up stage right about now. We are honored to welcome Pastor Sunday Waiku as a speaker for our stakeholders engagement and dialogue session in this dropout prevention campaign. With deep-rooted experience in community outreach and a heartfelt commitment to youth development, Pastor Sunday Waiku will share invaluable insights into the powerful role religious leaders and clergymen play in preventing school dropouts. This message will focus on how faith-based guidance, support, and encouragement can help keep students in school, fostering hope and resilience. Join us as we welcome Pastor Sunday Waiku as he illuminates the impactful ways spiritual leadership can inspire educational community in our communities. With a emoji applause, with a round of applause, please join me in make welcome my father, a mentor, a friend, Pastor Sunday Waiku, as he takes his session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Before I proceed, I really want to commend TJ. Sincerely, even me, sitting here, I didn't want that section to end. Thank you. That was awesome. That was awesome. All right.
We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you, Pastor Sunday.
Great.
Me, I can hear you, sir.
We are together.
Fine. Thank you, Rema. All right. I'm here to speak on the roles that religious leaders can play in preventing school dropouts. I will be speaking more based on my experience. I've had the privilege to counsel students in the past 7 years of my life because I pastored a church where we had about 90% being youth, and out of that, we have more than 70% undergraduate students or waiting to gain admission into the university. So I'm going to share certain practical experience and to see the reason why all stakeholders need to come together to address the decline in people being in school. So we really need to come together. So I'll be speaking from the religious point of view. I'm a pastor, so I will teach towards Christianity, a part of it as much as I can. All right, first of all, we need to establish the fact that religious leaders, they have influence over their immediate community and even outside their immediate community. Now, there are certain things that religious leaders, certain influences that they have that others do not have. There are things that you can push into reality being a religious leader, for instance, being a pastor or any form of leadership that you hold in the religious sector that you can bring to bear that others may not have that kind of authority. And so we need to establish that religious leaders, they really have influence. And what are we trying to do today and beyond is to see that they use that influence to prevent school dropout. And another thing that we need to establish is the fact that we don't want to assume that these religious leaders, they are aware of what the statistics speak to as regards school dropouts. So maybe in the course of wrapping up, or by the time I get to the end of my section, if I have the time, we need to look at how TJ talked about key stakeholders. So we need to look at how all of us can come together and also find a way to reorient some of these religious leaders so that they can perform this role very well. Now, having said that, I quickly want to jump into some of the roles that I believe religious leaders can play in preventing school dropout. Like as I said earlier, they have influence, and this, when we talk about school dropout, just citing from the cases personally I've handled, people are dropping out, students are dropping out of school on daily basis. Now, I have more experience with those in the higher institution because the church where I pastor was just a stone throw from the University of Benin. So the students from higher institution, they are really dropping out by the day. So outside what the general statistics is saying, in reality, is even more than what the general statistics is saying. I don't want to bore us with that. Now, let me jump. What are some of these roles that religious leaders can really play to prevent a school dropout? And of course, number one is advocacy and awareness creation. The truth of the matter is that as a pastor, we have people come to church. The church where a pastor was hosting more than 1,000 youth on Sunday basis. So people come to church, and the religious leader can use that platform to promote the value of education. They can use that platform through their sermon, to promote the value of education. Because first of all, once the value of a thing is not known, abuse, they say, is inevitable. So we as religious leaders, we need to use our platform to promote the value of education. I've heard it countless times among students. They'll say school na scam. And you see these people say these things. In fact, I had a case of a boy who wanted to leave school. And the reason why he wanted to leave school was because three persons have graduated, three of his siblings, rather, elder siblings have graduated from school. And they were all at home, not doing anything meaningful. So he felt that going to school, he was going to go the way of his siblings, and that narrative can change when we begin to use that platform to promote the value of education, letting people know that it's not all about you going to school and getting a job. That going to school, ability for you to be able to go through that process can also refine you, and whatsoever you want to do in the future, it can put you on a vantage position. So we should begin to talk to them that outside you using your academic qualification to get a job, there are other things that can work out for you better if you get educated. So we need to use our platform, our sermon, our teachings to promote the value of education. We need to make them understand that when they subject themselves to being educated, it can enhance the quality of their life or enhance whatever they want to do in the near future. Of course, we have parents also who comes to a place of worship. So under advocacy and awareness creation, we also want to encourage parental involvement. Now, I've had cases of people, I've had cases of a lady who said, in fact, they are even countless. There was a lady who came to meet me, and she was trying to say to me, look, that the father insisted that she should not come to the university. The father had made up his mind that all the children will end at the secondary level. So after your secondary school, you're able to write your WAEC or your NECO, whatever you are writing, that ends it. Go and learn an informal skill or something, or just come and assist the home to do something. That was the mentality of the father. But she, having associated with certain persons, wanted to come to have a formal education, at the tertiary level. And as a result, the father decided that he was not going to be responsible for our education. So we as religious leaders can use our platform to also encourage a parental involvement. It is easier for students not to drop out from school when parents are fully involved in what they are doing as regards their academics. So we really need to come out fully and encourage parents. When they come to our worship center, we should be part of what we do to encourage them to be active or actively involved in the education of their children. So I've talked about advocacy and awareness, number one, awareness creation, number one. Number two, we talk about moral and spiritual guidance. Now, sincerely speaking, after you are done, these people, they come to meet you for guidance. They respect you so much. That's what I said when I started, that religious leaders, they have influence over their immediate community and even the communities outside. So these people, they believe so much in you. There are certain times you say to them, please, I need you to do this. They do it not because they want to do it, but because they believe and they have faith in whatever that you are saying to them. So we can also use this as a way to also guide them And one of the things we want to do is to instill discipline and responsibility in them. Now, also, we cannot remove the fact that we have students whose parents were involved. We have students who they know the value of education, but they are lazy towards the academics. You see students come into a place, I'm talking from a tertiary point of view now, they come into year one, and they just feel that they have freedom. And because of that level of freedom, they are not involved, taking the academic work seriously. And by year 2, year 3, they discover that they're in a serious mess. And as a result, they just want to call it quits. Why? Because it all started by the fact that they don't have values such as hard work. So one of the things that religious leaders we want to engage is to learn to instill discipline and responsibility. And this can be done through counseling or through sermon. We have done that countless times. There are students who believe they will not be able to go on with academics. And we have come to say, look, you can do this. And we teach them certain values that were not there, guide them through. And once they pick those values, you see them turn the academics around again for good. So we can begin to teach them hard work. We can begin to teach them how to be focused when it comes to the things of their education. And another thing we can do through our spiritual guidance is counseling. You can help them via counseling. When I was pastoring that particular branch, averagely on a Sunday basis, I counsel up to 20 to 30 students on weekly basis. That is outside the normal time of the church that they can reach out to me. So, but if every religious leader, we can begin to take advantage of counseling and let them know that, look, you need to, give in your best, knowing fully well how whatever you do right now can influence the future. That will really go a long way, especially in the area of their academics. Now, I want to speak on number 3, which is support for our vulnerable families. You cannot negate the fact that there are families who really want these children to be educated formally, but they don't have the means. And that is why religious leaders, we need to, I believe that we need to have a program or have a budget for this purpose to support our children who, are going to drop out as a result of financial challenges. There are countless number of them that we encountered. They were supposed to, in fact, there is a case now that I have of someone currently that even when I had left the parish, I need to see to it that she completes her canon. She's 300 level right now. So there are a lot of them who, out of financial issues, they were not able to continue their program, or they will not be able to finish their program. We can come on board. Religious leaders can do that. After all, these people, they pay tithes and they give their offering, and I don't think there's anything wrong when we take a portion of it to support them academically. Yes, there are a couple of churches, let me speak from this angle, that are involved in this. I have a pastor friend who made mention, who told me that he was able to graduate in Ekpoma because Winners Church, they paid his fee for 2 years. So just imagine if the Winners Church at that time, they were not there for him, he wouldn't have been able to graduate. And that guy is doing so much today because of that leverage that he had. Now, you agree with me that the cost of educating a child is becoming way out of hand. I was just meditating this morning. I discovered that when we were in school, our school fees was about 7,700 between 2003, 2007. But today is in hundreds of thousands. I mean, federal university. So it's crazy what it is today. So this is the reason why we need to provide support. Religious leaders need to provide support for vulnerable families, to be able to assist them, one, financially. Another way we can also provide that level of support is offering emotional support that you can do via counseling, and there are cases where you see a family, they are battling with the divorce cases about issues like that. The home is not settled, and the child is not settled in school, parents are threatening to go their separate ways, and they come and say, look, pastor, my parents, they are seeking for divorce, and I can't focus in school. So that is when we need to come on board to find a way to help them through that platform. Of course, I must also mention that some of us are not experts in guiding them out of this space. But what I do, I normally refer them to experts. We create relationship with the experts and see how they can help the students. Sometimes we have them even in our congregation. But sincerely speaking, we need to provide support for vulnerable families financially and emotionally. Now, number 4 ways through which religious leaders can prevent dropout is mentorship. And basically, we can do that by finding a way to inspire the students. You know, when I had the privilege to pastor that church, one of the things that I was, because of the number of students that I have, one of the things that I did was being intentional about inspiring them as regards their academics. You know, building hope and ensuring that there is no way they will not. In fact, I even went on to share my story with them, how difficult it was for me and how I survived while in school. So we have to find a way to mend their students that I needed to counsel to the point we needed to form a reading timetable for them. You know, guide them, ask them how many hours they study, how better do they understand. You know, you go this far, building teams that can help them stand and see them through school. So what am I trying to say? Number 4 is that we must find a way to mentor them. We must find a way to inspire them. We can act, leaders that can act as mentors for these people. Because they respect you, it's easier for you to influence them. You know, you can act as a way of example for them so that they can draw strength from that, you know, mentorship, and they will be able to stay true. So that's the number 4, mentorship. Again, another way we can also mentor them is to organize programs, youth programs, organize programs for them, bringing people that can also support you in mentoring them. You know, this can go a long way in reducing student dropout, especially from the tertiary education level. And number 5, of course, is find a way to resolve conflict. Like as I mentioned earlier, one of the major challenges, that students face is conflict at home. Family conflict, family dispute. You know, I've had cases of moving into a particular family, not because of the parents, but because I want the parents to stay together so that their children will be able to focus and achieve their academic goals. You know, sometimes you just, after talking to the student, you discover that, look, it's not what is happening in school that is the problem, it's what is happening at home. And we could talk to the parents and let them know how their activities at home is affecting their children while in school. So, and I also want to believe that if the activities at home, the conflict at home can affect those in tertiary institution, I want to believe that it will also affect those in lower level. And so one role that we need to play to also reduce our student dropout is the fact that we need to begin to move into resolving conflict, family dispute. We should not shy away from it. You know, in fact, there is nothing wrong in creating a department for that purpose, because there will always be conflict, and the way they are resolved matters a lot. In fact, when conflicts are not properly resolved, it doesn't just affect the couples involved in the marriage, it affects the children. You know, and these have gone a long way to cause many to drop out from school. There was a case that came to me early this year of a couple, you know, going their separate ways. And at the end of the day, some children went with the father and some went with the mother. At the end of the day, those who went with the father could not go back to school. Why? Because the father was not interested in taking them to school. He was just interested in getting another wife. But if we're able to resolve the conflict before it deteriorated to what it is today, those children that follow the father, about 3 of them would have still been in school. So we have a long a role to play in doing that. Now, again, it's not something that we can do on our own. It's something that we need to collaborate. TJ talked about the stakeholders. It's something that we need to collaborate with other stakeholders. This is not what religious leaders can do on their own. Why? Because there is limited funding. If you want to really go all out. In fact, let me share my experience in trying to help students fund-wise. We needed to now find a way to say, okay, fine, we need people who are committed, not because we couldn't help those who were not committed, but it's just a way to manage the funding that is available to us. You know, so we just need to streamline it. Okay, once you are committed, you serve in a particular department, okay, we'll not come all out to see what we can do to ensure that you do not drop out. But down deep in our heart, amongst our team, we really want to help as many persons as we could, but because of what? The challenge of funding. So it's something that we need to collaborate with different stakeholders. The school administrators are part of these ones, where we can, religious can come and begin to address certain things right from when they are even in their secondary or in their primary level. We can begin to come to meet with them in those schools and begin to address it even before they gain admission to their institution. That will help us or create an environment for us to instill certain values into them, especially from the religious point of view. So I'm saying that it's not something that we can do, and that brings us to my number 6: collaborating with schools and government. Collaborating with schools and government, that can go a long way when we collaborate with schools and with government and even other stakeholders. In fact, what I did that helped me is the fact that when people graduate from the school, especially those that we have helped in one way or the other, we find a way to stay in touch with them. They understand the role we played for them not to drop out, and we find a way to bring them on board. When we do this, there's a way we do it twice in a year, where we pay school fees for a certain number of persons. We find a way to sort out their accommodation. We do it twice a year, every semester. That's what we do every semester. We do it like that. And we find a way to bring other people to be part of it. And that has really gone a long way to help a lot of persons. And of course, as I begin to wrap up, there is nothing wrong if community leaders are beginning to engage in community initiative, doing campaigns, coming up with programs that can also reinforce the value of education and also provide resource for those who are struggling. So we need to engage more. We need to come up with more community initiative, more programs, campaign that can help sustain the value or reinforce the value of education. Now, as I wrap up, I want us to know that we as religious leaders, also from the little that I've observed, there are also religious leaders that even need a program, need this level of awareness. They need it because, yes, there are people who really have taken this as a concern, but there are also leaders, religious leaders, who don't really have not taken this as a concern. So we also need to create that awareness, because we can't be blaming them if they are not aware of things like this. So we can do that via certain religious bodies, you know, reaching out to the head and letting them know that we want the religious leaders to reach out to their larger audience, and we want them to reach out to them on how to prevent school dropout. And ideas can be shared with them. In fact, other stakeholders can be given the platform to come talk to the students, just the same way they visit the secondary school. They can do that in churches, and this will go a long way to also help reduce school dropout. And as on a final note on this, again, we need to collaborate with them. You know, we are in an era where religious leaders are being blamed. You know, let me not fail to say that we're in an era where people believe that religious leaders are just out there for the money of people and all that. I tell people that is not true. I've pastored a church, and I'm telling you, it's not a joke, especially when you have a heart for the people, when you really want these people to really make progress, you want them to become the best of themselves. The truth of the matter is that it's not a joke. Just before I joined this meeting now, there is somebody in the labor world right now who needs 350,000 for them to be able to do an operation on the person right now. And I was making that arrangement before I joined this meeting, and I'll continue after this meeting. So it's not a joke. And there are hundreds and thousands of cases where you see religious leaders, they come to solve. We may not come out to say it, but truly we do a lot within the community that we have influence over. So what am I trying to say? That we, other stakeholders, can also reach out to these religious leaders and find a way, to let them understand that they are important in this pursuit, and they're also ready to work with them. Thank you very much. I believe with these 3 points, I've been able to talk about the roles that religious leaders play in preventing school dropout. God bless you. Thank you very much.
Much, sir, for that very great session. Okay, so we would like to quickly take questions. If there are any questions, yes. And this session, we will be, please, a minute. Okay, we would like to quickly take questions now. This session will be merging the first session and the second session very quickly. I think some persons were raising up their hands after Mr. TJ finished his session. So if there's anyone like that, you have a question that you have noted down, you can kindly resend it to the chat box or indicate quickly, and we will take your question while we prepare to get into the panel session. Any question? Okay, I guess we are all good. If we are having a great time already, please, you want to drop an emoji. Let's be sure that we are still together. Let's be sure that you are still together. Okay, some reactions. Okay, I think we have a question. Oyinbo Victoria, is that a question? Is that a question from you, or you are interacting with us? Thank you for the emoji so far. Is that a question from you, Oyinbo Victoria?
It's not a question. It's not a question. I wanted to drop an emoji. I think I mistakenly pressed the.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone, so far for your time. We hope that we are having a great time here, and we trust that it's going to be a greater one going forward. I'm going to share a link rather on the chat box very soon. But before I do that, we would be going straight up because we are so much behind scheduled time. We'll be going straight up to the panel session, to the first panel session. And the first panel session, we'll be looking at core stakeholders roles in dropout prevention. Core stakeholders roles in dropout prevention. And the first session that will be taking, the first panelist that will be coming up to share insights on the roles of stakeholders in dropout prevention is the corporate bodies and NGOs. Will be considering the impact of corporate social responsibilities and non-profit engagement in educational support. And to do justice to that, we'll be welcoming Mr. Honorable Kelvin Prosper Oguns. I'll just quickly read a few lines about him while I get him to kick off what he has for us already. A minute, please. Yes, please, a round of applause for our panelists. A round of applause. Okay, we are honored to introduce Honorable Prosper Oguns Kelvin as a panelist for the stakeholders engagement and dialogue session. Honorable Prosper Oguns brings extensive experience in community engagement and policy advocacy, focusing on the transformative roles and corporate bodies and NGOs play in reducing dropout rates. Its insights will shed light on impactful collaborations between the private sector, NGOs, and educational institutions that empowers at-risk youth, ensure resource availability, and advocate for sustainable support system within school. Please join us as we explore how collaborative action across sectors can build a resilient, inclusive educational landscape for all, as we make welcome our very honorable panelists, Honorable Prosper Oguns Kelvin. You may have the floor, sir.
Thank you so much, my brother. Thank you so much, Honorable Emma.
Thank you so much.
To the house, for wherever you are, connecting from around the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Special appreciation again to Honorable Emma for putting together these very, 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 very crucial and important stakeholders engagement as it concerns or as it relates to dropout prevention, in our country. So it's a very, very interesting one because looking at the uniqueness of our country, Nigeria, you understand that we really need to address this menace. If not, we just get to a stage where we live among people who are not equipped educationally, people who are not enlightened, people who, and of course, you know what the ripple effect is on that, So I also want to appreciate the other speakers who have taken time to shed their light and experiences on this issue. Massive insight so far, very, very informative session so far, and I've really taken a few out of those sessions. Permit me to also appreciate my close friends and family who have tuned in from across the world. I think a few minutes ago my mother was here as a parent because this has a lot to do with parents, and I'm happy she was here, and I hope to see her to the end of this session. Yes, we all know that we cannot address an issue if we do not go to we cannot provide solution to an issue if we do not go to the core roots, the core cause of this issue. You see, when the rest speakers were speaking, I was really happy because at least we all have this mindset. We all have, at least we know what the issues are, and we are even making attempts to address these issues. It's a very, very encouraging thing to see. And I don't want to come to repeat. I don't want to be here to come here to repeat all of what the earlier speakers have said. I would just want to summarize and create a different insight from what they've said. Now, the first speaker made mention of something, of a very salient point, and I think all of what we will see today as the issue or as the cause of this menace is deeply rooted in that issue. And I'll surprise you, guess what? Leadership. Our leadership culture in Nigeria is the major factor why you see, this menace in our society. I say this because it is when a leader A leader, mind you, a leader is not somebody. A leader is not supposed to be somebody who just drives the big cars and sits on the big position and calls himself a leader. No, a leader is somebody who is filled with love for his people. A leader is somebody who puts his people first. So you see, when a man can embezzle, the money meant for public fund, school funding, he can embezzle it. He can just use it to go and buy a car and just be enjoying his life and just doing well. Then it goes a long way to tell you that these leaders don't have love. These leaders don't have the interest of the people at heart, and we are going nowhere with such a pattern. So it is very crucial for us to understand and identify this issue, leadership issue. See, one of my mentors, John Maxwell, C. Maxwell said, this a very popular quote he has. He says, "Everything rises and falls on the quality, in fact, on leadership." But I went further to rephrase to say, everything rises and falls on the quality of the leadership. You see, our collective efforts, our collective progress, our collective failures is as a result of the quality of our leadership. If we have made progress as a nation collectively, it is because of the quality of the leaders at that point in time. If we failed as a nation in areas where we've gone down as we've not done so well, it is also because of the quality of the leaders at that point in time. So it is very crucial that we understand where this issue is coming from, so that we can begin to now create unique solutions to address this issue. Nigeria is a very unique state, or a unique nation, as the case may be, and we must understand that to tackle a unique problem, we must come up with unique solutions. To tackle unique challenges, we must come up with unique solutions. To tackle unusual challenges, we must come up with unusual solutions. And I'm so happy that this idea, this engagement is one of those unusual solutions where we get to talk about these things, we get to explore these things, we get to explore options on how to go about these things. Identifying that, I don't want us to go through the whole statistics of how many percentage of course, I'm sure the other speakers must have touched those those statistics, but I jotted something down during the course of my preparation for this engagement, and what I wrote down, was the percentage of um, dropouts so far in Nigeria. And this statistic, although a bit old in year, because it was conducted, I think, 2018, 2019, but something struck me. The percentage for the primary school dropout was 28.07%. Percentage for lower secondary was 27.38%, and the percentage for upper secondary was 40.8%. What does that tell you? It tells you that this menace is so hitting our secondary school students. You can go to primary school, you can go to nursery school and get that basic education and come out. But you see that secondary school, once you do not have that secondary school to connect with people from different backgrounds, you don't have that secondary school to secondary school opens your mind, get used to curriculum, know what curriculum is, how to study for curriculum, makes you smart. If we don't focus on our secondary school students, we'll just realize that at the end of the day, we'll just have people who have basic education, who can speak English, come out of school, cannot solve problems, cannot strategically think, cannot come up with strategic solutions to issues. You can imagine, I don't know if we can all imagine the ripple effect or the multiplying effect of what this menace is. If you understand what the multiplying effect is, then you will know that we are really, really sitting on a time bomb that we really need to address. And now talking about the roles of NGOs. See, the earlier speakers, they made mention of, the first speaker most especially talked about funding and how the NGO should provide funding, how the NGO has large and unlimited resources at their disposal and all. Fine salient points, but I want to state here categorically that you can provide the funding for a child who does not have the basic mind shifts to go and study and to go and do something, and that child at the end of the day neglects that education because the mind has not been transformed yet. There's no transformation of the mind. So I think where the NGO, where the corporate body, we should begin to come into this is, yeah, provide funding, but go hard on the mind shifts. Go hard on the strategic mind shift of secondary school students. Go hard. Let us go hard on the mind. You see, we are as good as the quality of what we think what our mind can produce. By the time we begin to carry out sensitization campaigns, rigorous, aggressive sensitization campaigns to address mind shifts. The assignment for me is just mind shifts. Address the mind, and we are addressing all of this. Funding is not the issue because at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, government will still bring money. Okay, let's even address the issue of okay, there's no longer corruption in the polity, there's no corruption in the polity, there's no wuru as we know it, and government actually makes these funds available. I put it to you that if there's no mind shift, if there's no recalibration of the mind, it is just a total wasted efforts. Let me give you a practical example. How many of us heard during Goodluck Jonathan's time, President Goodluck Jonathan, when he went, part of the reasons why the South did not like him. Sorry, I'm a bit political, so I'm going to try to connect this into politics and try to make a point out of it. And one of the reasons, from the South, gave him so much of the heat was, you went to the North and you constructed over 100 imaginary schools, or I can't really give the exact statistics, I'm not really sure. But you constructed so many imaginary schools, and you see these students, they don't even go to school, they damage the infrastructure. Guess what? How will you take an imaginary whose mind is not interested in learning and upgrading to a structure because the structure is fine, because the structure is beautiful, you just put him there and expect him to learn? No, you will turn that place to his playground, because the mind is where the mind is supposed to be, the mind is not there. So this is where we should come in, carrying out sensitization program, carrying out massive campaigns for mind shifts, targeting the secondary school. I'm making emphasis on the secondary school because we've all been through that stage of education, and we can tell for free that we make strategic friends there that's shaping our way of life. We make strategic friends and connections there that sometimes even last for life. So you can tell, I'm sure we don't even recognize, we can't even tell who our primary or nursery school friends are, but we can still tell who our secondary school students are. You see, right? So we really, really need to go target the secondary school. It's mind shifts, brutal mind shift for these guys, and we'll begin to see massive results. I think, like I said earlier, the speakers have wrapped up the things I wanted to say. Then another thing we can do, NGOs and corporate bodies can do, is career guidance and training. I see that in Nigeria we do not have a system or a structure where young persons are being guided on their career paths, where young persons are being exposed to different career paths that sets them up for life. Mind you, when I say career path, I'm not talking about the regular medicine, engineering. No, trade skills. People don't know. You see, I'm currently I'm currently in Canada now. You are even more valuable as a tradesperson, as a plumber, as a mechanic. You are even more valuable than, you see, this suit that we just do. But people don't know. So when the NGOs, when we go out there, we are poised with that responsibility. Well, we should be poised with that responsibility to recalibrate the mindset of these young ones. It's not all about medicine anymore. Yes, we have medical doctors, but we need to reintroduce people to other trade skills that can enhance their quality of living and create a betterment for their life. That prioritizing mental health. I think you should also, as NGOs and corporate bodies, prioritize mental health. Talk about mental health issues, relate to the youths. I think as a young person growing up or still growing, there's some times where I go through some things. I don't even want to relate with my parents. I don't want to relate to anybody. I just know that, okay, I'm just going through these things and everything will be fine. But maybe the NGOs should, come out and, create programs that youths can be comfortable to speak up, to talk about things that bothers them. And, from there we can also take charge of the mind, grab the mind and rechannel it to something very productive. Who knows? I would also like us to, or I would also like to touch on the challenges, because in as much as we are talking about the solutions and, okay, the NGOs getting ready to, take charge of the solutions to, create this change, we must realize that these NGOs, or we also face challenges too, right? Like, this is just a practical challenge, and I'm just going to tell you one very practical challenge that we've faced so far: the resistance to change from people. People resist change a lot. People are resistant to change. There's a lot of resistance. There's a lot of bad orientation out there that, you need to leave school and come and be doing this, and in less than 2 weeks you're making money, and you see, it has become so bad that, because there's evidence of, people even doing those things and they actually get money. So people feel like, see evidence, see this, see who went to school how many years, they never get work, they never do anything. But see who is just doing some other thing, and in 3 weeks, and it's all bubbling. So it's hard for people to want to accept that mindset of, education is key, education is power, with education you can do a lot. So resistance to change is one major factor, one very major factor. And I just wish that the government, especially in our climate, does a lot in terms of engaging with the youth, because there's little or very little we can do in terms of, trying to force people, trying to not really force, but trying to coerce people to, come and learn. There's really so much we can do, because we have corporate bodies, our primary responsibilities, we have our own businesses, right? We have our own challenges. We have our own, we have teams to lead. So we might not have that time to come and sit you down and say, you have to be doing this. We will do those things, but I think the government needs to take full charge and full control, of that. In conclusion, because I know my time is almost up, I want to emphasize this, that everybody has the capacity to lead, no matter what, whatever sphere of life, whatever sphere of influence, whatever industry, whatever, any place you find yourself, you have the capacity to lead. We all do. You're very surprised that there's somebody out there who likes the way you drink water and drop your cup, and the person is like, I like the way Mr. Rema, drinks water and drops his cup. Maybe I should be trying. Or knowing to Mr. Rema that Mr. Rema has an influence on that person already. That's leadership. So imagine we begin to model, or imagine we begin to show people that, education is key. We try to lead people. We try to be the ones to create that mind shift. We don't have to wait for stakeholders. Yeah, we are all stakeholders. Even you that you do not have a social media, you don't have social media followers, you don't have the, we are all stakeholders, we are all leaders, and we should make sure, we should try as much as we can to influence others, to create the room for others to also influence us as well. And I'm very sure that giving this approach, or using this approach with a few other approaches that we've had so far, we'll stay here in the course of this event and because of this campaign, we'll be able to address these menace and set our youth to the right path, the path of education, the path of enlightenment, for their betterment and for the betterment of Nigeria at large. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for staying with me, and God bless all of us. God bless you all. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Kelvin Ogons. That was brilliant and very, very interactive. Thank you very much for giving a whole booklet on the conversation and making us realize that it takes everyone. And I like the fact that you brought mom on board. That's super, 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 super awesome. Well done. Everybody, let's say hi. Let's share more. It's not just Kelvin here. Like it's everybody's thing. Yeah. Thank you very much, comrade and comrade. Thank you, Edwin. Thank you so much, everybody. Yeah. So we are really grateful for that exposition to make us realize that every one of us are involved in it, and I can really much pretty much relates to the Marjorie scene that you posted about. It's not just about building structures and all of that. It takes the mind running into the minds of people. And I think that was something that stood out profoundly for me. And then also when you mentioned that it's a collective effort, everyone, how each of us does certain things makes us stand out and can influence certain things. So every one of us is an inclusive act for us to actually put a touchlight to education, to see that education is actually a key, even when there are many things probably standing as a stumbling block or something to hold on to people. So thank you. And the congratulations still coming in. The E for energy in the house is over the roof. All right, thank you so much for your time.
I
Really
see some
appreciate it.
if they have questions. I see some hands up. I don't know if there's a question. So
Yeah. Sure. That's what I wanted to put a word to. So if you have questions to ask, you can just quickly just raise your hands, and you'll be called upon. Okay, I can see someone raising his hands already. Please, you can go ahead, comrade. Then Gregory, you can go ahead for the next. And who again am I saying here? Okay, Monica, you go next. Yes. All right. So, comrade, you can go ahead with asking your questions. Hello, can you hear me?
or were they trying to wave? Maybe they were trying to wave or clap.
If you have questions to ask, you want to add. Oh, they were trying to wave. Oh, I see.
I think so. I think so.
Please just confirm that that's what you were trying to do. So if you have questions, you have or you have additions, some things that stood out for you, I think this is just some time to just have that conversation. Remember, it's a conversation. It's not just a speaker thing. It's every one of us involved in. If you want to add one or two things, you want to clarify how things should be done in real context properly and all of that, you can just raise your hand, or you could just pick up the mic and speak to it. Is there anyone of that such? All right. I can see Mr. TJ's hands up. Oh, awesome. You can go on, sir.
Thank you very much, and well done, Kelvin. Amazing presentation. I don't know if mine is a question or if this will now be another panel conversation. But yes, amazing delivery. What he said was profound. Also, thanks to Pastor Sunday, amazing delivery as well. And I think I like the flow so far, and we're building up and building forward. However, I am a little bit weary about holding one thing as the main problem, because I believe that each and every one, I'm speaking probably now as a psychologist, each and every one operates from different sphere. So saying one thing is the core root of everything may be a little bit, taking us to one end where everyone can function from. So I strongly agree with the thought of mindset. Strongly agree with that. I also strongly agree that it rises and falls on leadership. But this is my thoughts. And in my presentation, I gave a position that the community starts from the home. I have been coaching and mentoring teens for 25 years now. And one of the things I have realized is we do a whole lot of mental work, and they go back to an environment that abuses the work done. One of the things I said is that parents or the home is responsible for the foundational, like just you brought your mom here. Most of who you are today, if you sit down and do an audit, you see your mom in it, you see your dad in it. Most of who you are, most of who we are is our mom or dad, because they were the primary programming in each and every one of us. So when we do a whole lot, I've been working with school and I've seen how both the school environment and the home environment messes up the child. So my child comes home to me and tells me that his uncle said this and it's correct. And what his uncle told him is wrong. So I'm trying to teach my son and he's trying to impose what his uncle said. As that is so, because all of them have believed it in school, and that is where formal leadership education starts from. And then I sit with my son and I tell him stories. He loves the stories, and with the stories we get online, and then he discovers, because one of the ways I teach is not by telling, but by pacing, so that you can, once you discover the truth of the knowledge, you can own it, and then you can apply it in your reality. And then he found out, and my son went to school and told his teacher that my daddy can teach better than you. And that almost caused another problem, But, you just find out that the environments keep abusing the mind. So when we raise leaders, for those of you laughing, I hope your child doesn't do that to you. When we raise leaders who have a confused mindset about what reality they should operate in, and then there is numerous demands from numerous mindsets. So when I'm using mindsets, I want everybody to see, probably if I use geography now, your longitude and latitude for all of us in this meeting is different. And then we want somebody who will do one thing that will somehow aggregate itself to reach us the way we are where we are. When some of us are in AC's room, and others are in front of fans sweating right now. So there's this multiple demand. So yes, that's why I agree with mindset. However, the environment where these mindsets thrive is key and critical. So I'm thinking, while we work on mindset, we should focus on the environments that these mindsets are empowered, such as the home. Number one, the home. Number two could be, number two could be church. Thank God we had a religious leader here speak, because the church or the mosque have become environments. Nigerians are very religious, where our minds are being shaped and messed up. So those environments are critical. Then we have the school, the educational environment, and then we have our community, and this is where community leaders come again. So I am just adding, probably it would be an addendum, not a question, that we need to ensure that the environments where the minds thrive are supporting the, for lack of words, thrivability, if there's anything like that, of the mind as we do orientation. Because I believe so much in mindset, I believe so much in orientation. And because of that, we are really struggling where we are. So, there's something that's going on. I can't say that in details, where we have a leader who committed to do certain things, and people are abusing the leader because these people are not intelligent. then they're trying to revert everything the leader has done back to status quo. And status quo gave them the opportunity to corrupt the system, and the system shouldn't grow. This is leadership. So people would rather stay in status quo, which is devoid of progress or growth, in measurable terms, as data will state, than follow what is desirable at the long run by the people. I don't know if I made sense with my points.
Right. Can I react?
Yeah, feel free. Feel free.
Thank you so much, Mr. TJ. Very. I think maybe because I am also a spontaneous thinker, I would like to agree with you that saying that it's all about leadership might be a stretch, right? It might be a stretch. I don't want to neglect every other fact, every other areas or elements, or in this case, stakeholders. I don't want to neglect the roles they have to play. But guess what? I still want to, because you made mention of, or you gave an example of your little child that goes to school.
The police, the road safety officer now can go and see in the office that the car broke down and he gave us and then there was no triangle. That's why he gave it that, because there's no evidence now to prove now that the car did not break down.
Yeah, because are you there, sir, Mr. TJ? Are you there?
Very much with you.
Because of the scenario you gave about your little child going to school and the influence of the teacher on that child. My question is, what if that uncle was a quality leader in that sphere of influence? Now, being a quality leader entails different, other areas or other factors. Of course, intelligence, IQ, and all of that. We can go on and on. But I don't want us to say too much of it. But just imagine if he was a quality person, he was a quality leader that has influence over your child. You wouldn't even have to bother about coming home to come and start correcting your child. That him being a quality person and a quality leader has eliminated all your stress already. And guess what? Because as a quality leader, one of the qualities of a quality leader is the ability to model, change. Because this other person is able to model a quality lifestyle, you just realize that at the end of the day, the pressure on you to model that quality lifestyle on your child becomes less. You won't make use of your school fees as the school fees you pay, you make more double use of it. So think about it. So it's like, at the end of the day, I totally understand, where the stakeholders, come into play. But guess what? Even in the stakeholders are meant to be leaders. Stakeholders are not supposed to be followers. Even stakeholders, that I say, in whatever sphere of influence you find yourself, you must imbibe, or you must begin to, act as a quality leader, to address this. But then again, I really understand. I'm really in tune with your standpoint, especially when you now talked about the environment. And yes, I understand that environment, can influence certain things. And guess what? Our Nigerian environment is so. I don't want to use the word. I don't want to use derogatory, words, but our Nigerian environment needs a lot of cleansing. When there's a stain on the cloth, and you start wondering, what's the quantity of hypo I need to use, or what's the quantity of bleach I need to use. Nigeria's quantity of bleach to wash and to clean our atmosphere, like 45 tanks of bleach, because our environment, no. But guess what? The hope is young leaders like us begin to take charge, taking charge for good. I often tell people I've given up on the older generation. I've given up on them. I don't have any business with them anymore. I want to engage with my colleagues. I want to engage with my peers. I want to begin to foster relationship. I want to begin to partner with and collaborate with young leaders to address unique issues and provide unique solutions to unique issues. Thank you so much, Mr. TJ.
You're welcome.
Wow, great. That was a beautiful conversation. Okay, so moving on very quickly, we would like to have up one of our very distinguished panelists that will be sharing quickly on the role of ethnic and community leaders in addressing dropout prevention. Very quickly, we are honored to introduce Mr. Linus Itoya as a distinguished panelist for the Stakeholders Engagement and Dialogue session. With his wealth of experience in community leadership and a deep understanding of educational needs within our communities, Mr. Itoya will share valuable insights into the pivotal roles community and ethnic leaders play in addressing school dropouts. His perspective will shed light on how united local efforts can create a supportive environment that encourages students to stay in school, fostering a brighter future for all. Please, I can see a round of applause. Please, let's have our uncle, our leader, Uncle Linus Itoya. You're welcome, sir. Okay, your mic is muted, sir. Faith, over to you. Faith, over to you. Okay, Faith, we can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
We can hear you, ma.
All
Go
right,
ahead.
thank you so much. Okay, so we're honored to introduce Mr. Daniels B. Itoya. He's a distinguished panelist for the stakeholder engagement, of course, as we know, and his dialoguing section on the national dropout prevention. His wealth of experience in community leadership and a deep understanding of educational needs within our communities. Mr. Itoya will share with us valuable insights into pivotal roles communities and ethnic leader play in addressing school dropouts. His perspective will shed light on united local efforts and what those efforts can create in a supportive environment to foster a brighter future for all. With an applaud, I want every one of us to welcome Mr. Itoya Linos to the platform. You're welcome, sir.
Hi, good evening. I don't know if you can hear me. I'm on the very busy road. Um, you have to bear with me because I'm actually traveling, and as a result of that, I really couldn't join you guys in the traditional way, by way of sitting down in an office or in a home environment where you can hear me very well. But I can barely hear you guys. I don't know whether you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you
Now
very
that's clear, sir.
clearly.
We can hear you.
Okay, good evening, everybody. And thank you for this
Good evening.
what you do.
Yeah.
Particularly happy with you guys, especially young leaders like you guys, talking about dropout, how to prevent dropout. So it's a very laudable project. And I'm happy to be a part of this sort of project because according to Hillary Clinton, in one of her books, she said it takes a village, and I am a product of it takes a village. It takes a village to raise a child, and that is one thing we must do as a community, as people, so that anywhere we see somebody dropping out of school because of any um, issues, it might be something relating to money. The funds is not there. The parents are poor, um, or health challenges. So we can all come together as a community to try and raise that child, to try and help that child, to try and ensure that that child will not drop out of school, but actually we rally around such a child, such a person, to make sure the person can actually continue, doing their best, right? So I've been involved now in community organizing for a couple of years, and one of the area I think we have been helping is um, reaching out to schools, in my community and other communities, make sure that they have the adequate facilities to thrive in their various schools, to make sure they have teachers and make sure teachers are paid. Because when you have this in a community, if all this infrastructure are complete in a community school, you find out that uh, every child will be able to, go to school, be able to thrive in such school and in such community, even if they were thinking of dropping out. But because, the community rally around them, because it takes a village, and you find out that such child will be able to continue to go to school. I remember in my days when I was going through elementary and secondary school, there are times that you find it very difficult to pay school fees, because your parents couldn't afford it. But you find out that other community members will come together and ask you, why are you not in school? Why didn't you go back to school? Because we've seen that your mates have gone back after holiday, but you are just at home. Why? So by the time you speak to such community members, and then they rally around you to just make sure that you can actually uh, not only go back, but that school fees that is needed, they will pay for it and also be able to give you other stipend, for you to continue your education. So with what you guys are really doing, this is my first time, of course, you know, seeing you guys, but I think I will be happy to partner with you guys in terms of working with other organizations to make sure that we do not experience, or if there's a way we can reduce the number of dropout, I think that would be a starting point. So I would be happy if anytime you guys can call on me to just make sure that whatever assistance that I can give, I'll be willing to do that by all means. So how do we prevent this apart from the community engagement? I think there are other ways, but unfortunately, in Nigeria, it's very difficult. I know, for example, in UK, there are people. Once you get to 16 or 17, right, you're allowed to go to work, do part-time job, which is 20 hours per week, and continue your education. But unfortunately, Nigeria system doesn't allow that because they are barely work for um, even graduates, let alone people who are in secondary school who are struggling. So, but there are other ways I think we can, you know, encourage people to stay in school and not to drop out. And one of those ways is obviously engaging with um, government officials. I know they have their hand full. They are very busy doing all sorts of things. But if you have an organization like this who can engage the various officials of the Ministry of Education, for example, I'm from Edo State, and we just have a new governor that is, was sworn in a few days ago. We are still waiting to see his commissioners being appointed. I would be very interested in who becomes the Commissioner of Education. And once we can find that person and, very quickly liaise with such person to make sure that we can partner with the Ministry of Education and every officials regarding education to work with organizations like you and other organizations who are interested, who have a stake in the education of our children. So we will be working with these sort of organizations, this sort of agencies to make sure that we can tackle this problem together as a team, right? So I'm going to be deeply involved with the government of Edo State, and this will be a project that I would like to push forward, that they can support and they should support, so that we will have to find a way to reduce this dropout, issues facing majority of our people in different communities, right? So because of obviously I'm actually traveling now, I don't think I'm going to spend too much time with you, but I will be looking forward to this sort of discussion next time, and then perhaps I'll be better prepared and in a better environment to be able to speak more on the issue. But I thank you guys for inviting me. But please, you have my details, you have my numbers. Please reach out to me anytime, so that we can all work together, to find a way to eradicate this problem. There are so many agencies, not just in Nigeria, across the world, that we can actually um, write to. For example, USAID, they are very interested in this sort of initiative. The European Union, they are very interested in this sort of initiative. I know there are some organizations also in UK that are also interested in this sort of initiative, just to make sure that no child, drop out of school, but rather that we are able to ensure that everybody who has reached the age of going to school is able to go to school. So thank you guys for putting this together. Like I said, I look forward, to collaborating with you guys in the near future. And please feel free to get in touch anytime. Thank you, guys. Can anybody hear me?
Thank you, sir. We heard you loud and clear. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for
My audio is very faint, but yeah.
yeah, that was very succinct, and we will be glad to reach out to you, sir, so that we can continue to push this message and eradicate the menace dropout as much as possible. Thank you so much, sir, for the very short and beautiful one. Okay, so we would like to take questions now. Would like to take questions. If at this point anyone have question, would like to take questions, please go ahead and indicate. Or if you have few comments to make, because we'll be wrapping up right about now. We are wrapping up the session right about now. If you have a question or you have a comment to make thus far, or you want to re-emphasize some of the points of our speakers, please, you have the floor now while we see if we can bring in one more panelist. If not, we can then wrap it up right about now. So if you have any question, you have a comment to make, you want to reiterate some of the points of the speakers, please go ahead. You have the floor now. We'll do this for 2 seconds. Or okay, let's be realistic with time. 2 minutes, and then we'll do this for 2 minutes, and then we move. We'll do this for 2 minutes, and then we move. Okay.
Is it okay?
Yes,
Is
thank
anyone
you.
who just unmute and make comments?
Come again, sir.
Just to unmute and make comments.
Yes, please. Yes. We
All
want to
right.
reiterate some of the points of the speakers thus far, or a question. It will be very, very
Okay.
well appreciated at this point in time.
All right. I think mine is just a comment. Listening to all the speaker, all the honorables, Pastor Sunday and last big uncle who has been doing a lot far back in Nigeria and across, especially Edo State. So having traveled a bit, I think all the development we have seen is education, and having seen Nigeria, that one of the commentators says something that you see a dropout who cannot even express himself driving a very luxurious car, whereas somebody who is very learned is still struggling to live. So that discourage people. So I want to commend the organizers for this event. It's very practical because education, a nation without education has no future. They may just have a present, but they don't have a future because it's not sustainable. All the countries across in the Western world, you see everything that has been put in place is through intellectual properties. I'm happy. Like what Uncle Linus said, there are a lot of organizations who are ready to push this event. And yes, behind the scene, I know there are other persons who will join who could not join that will go to support this initiative and make sure it keeps flying. Kudos to all the speakers. I think I don't have any question. I just want to say well done and thank you to all the organizers.
Thank you so much for that appreciation and comments. I would hand over to the moderator now, even as we begin to tie up. Thank you very much. Ms. Sampson, please.
All right. And we've had to have very quality conversations so far. Thank you very much to the last speaker and the last commentator. Thank you very much as well. And I think next we're going to be having the next speaker. I do not know. I need a signal. I can't seem to see her here, but I'm trying to find out. Is she still going to? Our next speaker or panelist for the section is it? Rama, can you help ascertain?
Okay, sorry, you're having, moderator was having a little network glitch. I'm sure, yeah. Okay, yes, she's having a little network glitch. She's going to join us very quickly, even as we begin to tell the conversation. So like I mentioned earlier, if we have questions, please do well to drop it in the chat box. If you want to target any speaker, if there was something the speaker said, any of the speaker said that was profound to you and you need clarification, you can do well to drop it on the chat box as we take that, even as we expect our moderator to tie us up on this conversation. Just a minute, please, and she will be with us. All right, it's Faith. Faith, can you hear me? Okay, we're supposed to have the fifth speaker of the Nigerian Youth Parliament share insight on policies and policies formulation on how it can, in relation to reducing dropouts in Nigeria. We actually have, she was here with us earlier talking about Right Honorable Dr. Azizat Ishao. She was with us earlier. We're trying to get her on board. But if that proves difficult, I guess if at the point in time we call it a wrap, we have actually done something really good. And I'm sure that it was a great time well spent. I really want to appreciate everyone for joining us tonight. I mean, for this almost 3 hours, we have been on this call and on this conversation, discussing and sharing insights on how we can reduce and drastically eradicate dropouts in Nigeria. We've had key sessions, expository sessions from two keynote speakers talking about Mr. Chije Chinu. What a great time. Thank you so much. We also had, from the religious perspective, a very senior pastor of Rock of Ages Christian Assembly Incorporated, Pastor Sunday Waiku. It was a great session with him. I mean, like he mentioned, he has been in the forefront of pastoring youth and young adults for the past 7 years. He has had interface with them one-on-one, and through testimonies, we have seen how religious leaders have, through him, we have seen how religious leaders have played roles in reducing dropout prevention. As for us, we went further to having my very good friend and colleague and honorable, I'm talking about Honorable Prosper Oguns Kelvin, the convener of a very strategic initiative that, like he said, we always say he's tired of the older people. He wants to focus on the young people. Yeah, share insight on the roles NGOs and corporate bodies are playing in preventing dropouts in Nigeria. Yes, and we went forward to having a very big uncle, a very, very passionate community leader, a very, very passionate community leader, share insights on how community leaders and ethnic group leaders can play a role in addressing dropout prevention. It's been a great session so far. I want to thank everyone that has been a part of this conversation. It is one that we cannot finish in one sitting. I'm glad to say that this is the first phase of this campaign. It's not going to be the last. It's going to continue, by God's grace. And the second phase, just like we heard one of our panelists say, we're going to be having, in the second phase, we are going to be having this kind of a session, but of course, it will be physical, where we will have one-on-one interaction with these vulnerable ones, right? Have again stakeholders come share insights on how we can continue to mitigate and possibly eradicate dropout in Nigeria. I want to use this opportunity to thank honorable colleagues of the Edo State Youth Parliament for being a part of this session. The Speaker, Right Honorable Fawaz Mohammed, thank you so much for being a part of us. Other principal officers from the Edo State Youth Parliament and my honorable colleagues, thank you for the support and your presence here. I want to also specially appreciate every other person that joined us. I can see a representative from Red Cross University of Benin, can see a representative of Red Cross, an alumni, AAU, and every other individuals and corporate bodies and non-governmental organizations that could join us. We really want to appreciate everybody. Now, specifically and specially, very specially, I want to recognize and appreciate members of my immediate family for being a part of this. The support has been massive. Honestly, the support has been massive. I have the privilege to recognize my brothers, my very senior brothers that joined us in this conversation, joining us from around the world. Thank you so much. I don't know if I should mention name, but since our name is aligns, I would like to appreciate Evangelist Pastor Edwin Obidi. Thank you so much for joining us. God bless you, sir. And I want to appreciate my leader and my brother, but yes, my leader. That's comrade, very, very senior comrade, Osemidame Elvis Obidi. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Your support was, in fact, it was invaluable. I cannot put it in words. Thank you so much. To the team members that made this work, I want to thank each and every one of you. It was back to back. I'm glad that this first phase has successfully come to an end. I'm so glad. I want to give a very special mention to Rodo Graphics. We call him Jabberwocky. In fact, he was at the back end doing so much, right from when we started till 9 minutes, of today. We was still putting out graphics, putting out designs and all. Thank you so much. I want to also appreciate our very, very distinguished moderator, Miss Faith Sampson. Network has been tossing her to and fro like every wind of doctrine. Thank you so much. Even I mean, no matter how terrible the network was, you still stitch true. Thank you so much. And again, I want to specially recognize someone that is in the back end doing all the back end work, ensuring that everything at the back end is running smooth, pop, and peep. That's Imafidon Efe Becky. Thank you so much for being there. Thank you for, I mean, the team, we had a number of calls, a number of meetings that brought this to success. I want to thank everybody. And let me say this as a last word or final words. Dropouts can be prevented. Dropouts can be eradicated. Dropouts can be mitigated in Nigeria. You know, like one of the speakers said, when you consider the statistics that is being put out there, right, and considering it at the level of Africa, majority of the percentage there is attributed to Nigeria. Majority of it is attributed to Nigeria. It just shows the level of decadence the education system has filled in, the part of decadence that the education system has trod in. And we are doing this in advocacy and creating awareness, letting the various stakeholders come to the fore that, hey, this exists and it is high time we do away with it completely. I want to say that it is the role and the job of everybody to ensure that no student drop out from school. No student drop out from school. When you see someone that is vulnerable, or one of the things that you could do is raise awareness, advocate, bring it to the attention of a stakeholder. I'm sure the person belongs to a family, the person fellowships in a church, the person have community and ethnic leaders. These are people that can help in mitigating the effect, that can help in mitigating the numbers, the rates of dropouts. Particularly in the north today, the girls' child are at the receiving end, and in the northern part of Nigeria, where a number of them are given early to marriage. And when they are given early to marriage like that, they don't have access, they don't have the opportunity to access quality education. When we have our community leaders and ethnic leaders coming together, to speak up against this, against acts like that and cultural practices like that, we can have such rates reduced drastically. And of course, it's going to have um, um, it's going to be of great advantage to Nigeria as a country, as a whole. We want to thank each and every one of us once and again for being a part of this conversation. I want us to know that it doesn't end here, it continues. And we're going to reach out to us again when the time is due. Please continue to spread the good news, continue to advocate for quality education. School has come, it's not true. It is not true. It is not true. A man can only know to the extent to which he is educated. And I hope that we will be on a greater pedestal as a country in the nearest future. Just to end, I know this is on time, but I would like to welcome my very senior leader to end this session officially for us. And I'm talking about Comrade Osemujame Elvis Ogbidi, with few words and then completely turn out the session as we call it a night and a phase one. My leader, sir.
All right, thank you very much, Honorable Peace Rema. I commend you and the organizers, as well as all the speakers, the panelists, as well as the team for putting up this very awesome event. It's been a pleasure to be part of this mind-blowing and generational impacting program. I didn't really want to say anything regarding the topic because the speakers and everyone who spoke previously has done justice to this section, and I commend you guys once again. We hope to see more of it in the future. Moving forward, while we draw the curtain and call it a day, let us remember that the change we all desire begins with each and every one of us. At every point in our lives, let us hold those who should be held responsible to account on why we have young people dropping out of school. So this is very important for each and every one of us. And this is the only way we can also make that very uneven contribution to our society. You don't have to have all the money in this world. You don't need all the education in this world to make impacts. You can make that very impact in your own very little spheres of influence and that very level where you are. So thank you once again, and it's a pleasure to be among you guys. Cheers.
All right. Thank you very much. So at this point in time, Faith, you can end us. It's not end us, so
All right.
you can.
Yeah. Thank you so much.